Family, welcome to Speak. James Jones on the far end. To his right, the brilliant Joy Taylor. To my right, the Eagles' all-time rushing leader, Shady. I can't make sense of it. The dude went to an NFC Championship game, and then he went to a Super Bowl. He had 36-plus touchdowns on the year. He played well enough last week to get his team to the NFC Championship game, then get them to the Super Bowl. I can't make sense of the criticism. Starting the show with the most polarizing topic in all of sports. Y'all turn your volumes up. 2-5, you take issue with Cam's criticism of Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I do. Just because, like, what are we talking about here? Like, what are we trying to get accomplished? Yeah. The first time he spoke about it, I agree with him. He was making a difference between game managers and game changers, right? So I understood that part. And you look at Brock Purdy on his team, yeah, he's probably not the best player in the offense, probably not the best player in the defense. He's probably in that round of 8, 9, best player in the team. But why does that matter, though? Right? Yeah. Like, this guy has had his team in a Super Bowl. He's had his team in the NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. And my thing is, I don't think Brock Purdy's no superstar quarterback. I don't think that, right? But I do think he's a good quarterback for his team and for his system. It's like, why are we going to blame him or you know, diss his resume or what he's accomplished? I don't like that part of it, and I think Cam, and I'm a good friend of Cam. Cam's a solid dude. I just think he needs to take a chill pill real quick because it's like, what are you trying to get accomplished? Right? There's a lot of great, talented players that didn't really accomplish much. Right? He's kind of in that category of great talent that didn't accomplish a lot. So I just hate when players or even people, like, they harping on something that we already get it. Like, I get it. He's not a superstar. I get that. But he's good he's good in his craft. So, like, let him roll. I don't know what he's trying to prove with the Brock Purdy thing. I thought he was just joking at first, and I watched it. I think he was serious when he said it. So I'm not sure what Cam's trying to accomplish, but I think Cam has a point as far as him not being a superstar, but he's a good quarterback in the system. That's all that matters, and he wins.
Yeah, for me, it's Cam, you already came out and said this. Yeah. Like, okay, Brock Purdy is not an elite quarterback or an elite talent, right? Okay, a lot of people agreed with you on that. But this young fella has his team in the Super Bowl and had his team in the NFC Championship last year. But like Joy always says, we got to stop worrying about game manager or elite quarterback. We got to stop worrying about that. This dude is in the Super Bowl and he wins. And I was going down the line of these quarterbacks. We agree Cam was an elite quarterback or elite talent at the quarterback spot?
Elite
talent at the quarterback spot. That's what he's saying, elite. Can you be the best player on your team or whatever or carry a team, right? We believe Cam was that. He showed us he did that a couple years. But Eli Manning wasn't an elite talent at the quarterback spot. Eli Manning beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl, and he has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Everybody at this table will take Eli's career over Cam's career, even with Cam being a special player at the quarterback spot. Now, right here, this quarterback right here has 103 wins, 245 touchdown passes, 43,000 passing yards, right? Super Bowl win, Super Bowl MVP. Cam Newton has 75 wins, 194 passing touchdowns, 32,000 passing yards. The quarterback first is Joe Flacco. Whose career are you taking? So it don't matter if you're a game manager, an elite, none of that matters, Cam. Right? Some of these dudes' career is 1,000 times better than yours, and you were an elite talent at the quarterback spot. So to me, none of that matters. And he already said it, right? It's over. Leave Brock Purdy alone. Brock Purdy is getting ready, and what's the number say on his jersey? It say some type of numbers, XL, whatever. Getting ready for the Super Bowl, man. Like, leave Purdy alone. That elite, the game manager, it don't matter if you find ways to win.
I have a thought for everybody at the desk. Obviously, Joy, can't wait to get your input on this as well. We say that Eli Manning wasn't an elite talent, but that's got to be crazy. The reason I say it's got to be crazy is because he was a #1 overall pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was.
Now, I don't think super highly of Eli Manning. Yeah. I played against him in the division. I was actually on the New York Giants practice squad, so I went up against Eli Manning every day, giving him looks as the opposing defender. So I know Eli Manning better than most people on national television. I don't think that highly of him. But I guess where I get confused is, how are we all describing talent? Is talent in 2024 exclusively how well you can run and how strong your arm is? Because teams thought Eli Manning was talented enough to take him #1. This isn't an Eli conversation. But I guess, Joy, where I get confused, because this does all have things to do with Brock Purdy, he's not that talented. Not that talented. He got offered by Alabama, like everybody else. He's not that talented. He's in a Super Bowl. He's not that talented. I guess I'm just confused on what that means. Not to derail you all, get back on track. Do you have an issue with Cam's criticism? But I want to revisit that conversation later.
I don't think I disagree with all of Cam's criticism, because I do think there are better football players at their position on his team than him. He's not the best football player. He's not the best physical talent on his team. He's the most valuable player, but we could go down a whole list of guys that we would say this guy or this guy at their position, and you would take the first guy and not Brock Purdy. I really think that's what he's saying. I'm not going to speak for him. He's got his own show and he can say what he wants to. For the same reason that yesterday when we were talking about paying him the most out of anybody in the league at his position, and we all said we'd be nervous, that is what I think he's saying. But there's a very, very small amount of guys who are in that category. It's Joe Burrow, it's Josh Allen, it's Patrick Mahomes, and it's Lamar Jackson. And we still have questions about some of those guys in the postseason. So when you're talking about elite talent, it's what we see with our eyes. There's a reason that everyone said they would be uneasy about paying him the most amount of money in the league. There's a reason for it. And whether we can articulate it or not, whether it's something that we've seen or what he's looked like when he's bad, or whether we trust the players around him more, or we trust that Kyle Shanahan has gotten here before, until this point, he has not won a Super Bowl, and we all feel a bit uneasy about paying him the most amount of money. If he was the most talented, if he was unquestioned, if we had seen enough with our eyeballs, if we had watched and felt like he was the reason why all this was happening, we would have no question about it, because if he lost talent, we feel like he'd be able to compensate for it. That, to me, is what he's saying. I don't agree with it, because, to your point, what is talent? Is talent just what we see with our eyes, these unbelievable plays that Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes make? Is talent Joe Burrow taking a team that had 2 wins to 2 years later being in the Super Bowl? Is that talent? Is Lamar Jackson being a 2-time MVP, a unanimous, being able to overcome not having talent around him and using his legs in ways we've never seen before? Is that talent? I think we move the needle a lot to make room for the conversation that we want to have, but we all know what it is.
I don't.
It is the fact that you don't feel comfortable. We, 1, 2, 3, 4, sat here yesterday, and we had a very elaborate conversation, long, I think we went 30 minutes. All of the producers were yelling at us to go to break, about whether or not we'd feel comfortable paying Brock Purdy the most amount of money at his position in the NFL. And there's a very small amount of guys who fit into that category.
I mean, but even saying that, like, I still think he's a good quarterback for his team, right?
I do too.
And I won't pay him the top dollar, but there was never a time where I would pay Cam Newton at the top of the dollar either.
I'm glad you said that.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
here's my tension with all of this conversation surrounding Brock Purdy. After Cam Newton got paid, he was 30-36. 77 passing touchdowns, 59 interceptions. Reason I'm not adding rushing yards, I haven't aggregated them yet, and I would also have to add turnovers, fumbles. I don't have that ahead of me, so I can only tell you that aspect of things. I love how Joy mentioned physical talent. Yes. Y'all want to say Brock Purdy's not that much of a physical talent? Bet. But even when we start talking about what we see with our eyeballs, I see talent.
Yeah.
I see physical talent. I see mental talent. I see elusiveness. I see 52 rushing yards. And the best running quarterback in the National Football League had 54 rushing yards in his championship game. And the non-talented Brock Purdy had 52. 3 conversions led to 17 points on 3rd down, 2nd down, 2nd down. So even when we start to say what we see with our eyeballs, I am now omitting myself from saying I don't see talent with Purdy.
But you do feel uneasy about paying him the most at his position.
Yes, I'm not a good example because I feel uneasy about paying several quarterbacks not named Pat, so I'm not a good example.
I do too. I think we all do. But why is that? That is because when you pay a player the most amount of money at their position when you're the quarterback, so you move to the top, you're the highest paid player, highest paid quarterback, highest paid player in the league, you're not going to be able to pay everyone else.
Correct.
So you lose people. And there's very few people, Patrick Mahomes being one of them.
Or the only one, wouldn't you say?
Maybe. Maybe.
But
we certainly don't think Patrick Mahomes is the only top talent in the league.
No. But I guess here's I love this conversation.
Can I get in on this real quick?
Go ahead. Just don't pivot it. But go ahead.
No, I'm not, because before I went back to the Packers, I signed with the Giants, and I was in the huddle with Eli Manning, preseason, training camp, and all that. And Eli would throw this football, and I would be like, dang, that ain't 12. You know what I'm saying? I will run a certain route. Even talking to OBJ, I'll run a certain route. Like, bro, he got to put it there. Oh, look at me like, he ain't 12, right? So When we talking about talent, we know what we talking about.
what talent
You know what I'm saying? So that's why with me, I'm like, okay, Eli is a really good quarterback. He's going to put on a gold jacket. No knock to him. Beat the GOAT, the greatest of all time, twice in the Super Bowl and took Super Bowl MVP. Really good quarterback. But strictly talent, he's not on the level of Aaron Rodgers. And I witnessed that with my own eyes. So I think that's what we're saying about Brock Purdy. Even when you watch him play, does he make some very good throws? Did he scramble last week? Absolutely. He has talent, but not the talent of those guys is what I believe Cam Newton is saying.
And which is fair. But the only thing I'm saying is there's only 3 dudes that have the talent of those 3 dudes, and it's those 3 dudes. Pat, Josh, Lamar. Burrow doesn't even have the same physical talent. Burrow has it. And he has more of it than anybody.
That's part of talent.
And I agree. And I think Purdy has it, too.
Joe don't have the physical talent?
I don't. When I look at Joe Burrow, I do not believe he has the strongest arm. I do not believe that he is the most mobile. I think Joe Burrow got it.
You think Joe Burrow and Brock Purdy are on the same level?
No, I think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback. I think Joe Burrow's a better quarterback.
Yeah.
But I think they both have that same it. Like, neither of them do you look at and you're like, oh, man, he intimidating.
But is anyone saying that Brock Purdy isn't
That's what
talented?
I'm saying. I don't think it matters. He winning.
Is anyone saying he's not talented?
Oh, Burrow, we getting crazy on this show.
Wait, what's Joe Burrow do excellently?
I'm just saying, like when you say he got the it factor, then you're saying Brock got the You think when I see the it factor in Joe Burrow, I seen some of that Brady in him. Like, oh, he got some Brady in him. He got some dog in him. He ain't the fastest, right? He can move enough. His arm ain't the strongest, but get the ball there. He know where he wants to go with the ball. He's always poised, under control, no matter what the situation is. And I can't say that in the same breath and then say the same thing about Brock Purdy.
I think everything you just said, I would check for Brock Purdy, except for he's always poised no matter what the situation is.
But this is what I wouldn't check, though.
know.
This is what I wouldn't check.
Go ahead.
He went to the worst team in football.
And changed them.
And went to the Super Bowl. So if we're talking about talent at the quarterback spot or a guy that has the it factor, does Brock Purdy go to the worst team in football in the Cincinnati Bengals and take them to the Super Bowl?
No.
So that's what we're talking about.
But what we're talking about is I don't like using hypotheticals to undermine somebody. Like we said last week, yeah, but we haven't seen Brock do it with multiple teams. He hadn't had the opportunity to. Yeah, but we didn't see Brock go to the worst team. He didn't have the opportunity to. So I'm not even saying y'all are wrong, but like we're using these
for seeing things that we do the spectacular thing either.
Don't knock them. Don't knock them. But let's not just knock Purdy in the sense of, like, Shady, you said, have you seen, you spoke of Tom Brady.
I'm saying, like, when I look at Joe Burrow, like, the coach is we're going to put the ball in his hands. We're going to make everything go through you from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, right? When I look at Brock Purdy, it don't go like that all the time, right?
Agreed.
Right, of course.
But we also know you saw last game more than ever. Running game wasn't doing nothing. 2.8 yards per carry. Had to put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands. Down by 17, came out of half. First play, dig, Deebo Samuel. Second play, pass play. Third play, pass play. Against the Green Bay Packers, 9 plays, you got to have it. You got to go down the field and score. 2 runs, 7 passes. He went 6 for 7. So, to me, that is...
But this is what you do. I can't stand like, yo, it'll be a whole game. How many minutes is in the quarter?
15.
So, it's like you won't even look at the whole... If he played bad in the first half, you dismiss that, right? The second half, he played well. It's the only thing you talk about. You don't talk about the other stuff he didn't do well. And it's like, as a football player, when you look at the tape, you're looking at everything.
All of it.
Right. So my thing is, as much as you want to, like, give this Brock Purdy credit, and I give him credit, I think he's a good quarterback. I don't put him on that level yet because when I watch him, I don't see that. I see a really good quarterback in a system that plays well, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yo, coach asked me to do this, I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. Yo, coach want me to manage the game a certain way, yo, I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. I'm okay with that. It's like we fighting to give him this credit that we going to give Joe Burrow and these other dudes because he's not them.
Right, like why do I feel like I'm being pitched something right now?
Yeah, like...
We've been talking about this all year. James shut it down at one point. I don't remember what week it was. It was like, stop talking about how good everybody is. You have the ability to go play. You have the ability to prove it. You have the ability to overcome things. You have the ability to win. There's no question he is a great winner. There's no question he operates at a very high level. He is a very intelligent quarterback. I actually think he is pretty poised. He can pull some bad games from Joe Burrow. But there is a difference between, that's why if you said Brock Purdy's better than Joe Burrow, most people are going to have a visceral reaction to that.
Most.
Correct, but I also think a lot of that visceral reaction stems from the fear of that visceral reaction. Because when I think about what Brock Purdy has done this season, and I'm saying to myself, Joe Burrow, if he came back from down 17, we'd be like, well, duh, it's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, he came back from down 7 game-winning drive, we'd be like, well, duh, It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, if he had some big-time scrambles to ice a game, we'd say, well, duh, it's Joe Burrow. The reason you're being pitched something is because I feel as though we all watch the same game. But I'm watching the game, and I'm looking at Brock Purdy, and I'm going, he's doing the same things that every quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are doing. So he's doing the same.
So my things, Acho, is why does it matter? Because all them quarterbacks you just said, with everything you just said, you're not taking Purdy over them. So my thing is why does it matter?
He's never going to take him over.
If the man is winning, the man is getting ready for the Super Bowl. So my thing, why does it matter? He's finding ways to win. If somebody came up to me and said, man, you're not as talented as Randy Moss, but I'm getting open. Mm-hmm. Man, you're not as fast as Tyreek Hill. I got 90 yarders. I got 80 yarders. I got 70 yarders. What does that matter? They can't catch me even if I got a zigzag. So it does not matter.
So then here's my question then.
I'm getting the job done.
Why do people keep saying it? Because my biggest irritation, and I haven't said it yet with Cam Newton, is he keeps drawing a circle to exclude Brock Purdy. If y'all remember what Cam Newton said 3 weeks ago, and I'll play the sound for you here momentarily, Cam Newton first defined a game manager as somebody who can't put the team on his back. His first definition was as a player who you ask not to lose the game. But the last 2 games that Brock Purdy has played in, he has been asked to win the game.
Why was he asked to win the game, though?
Because his team wasn't winning.
Why wasn't his team winning?
I would say a lot of things. I would say the defense only allowing 1 punt in the first half.
Did he play any role in why they were in that position?
Of course. Of course, and I would say that several quarterbacks do when their teams are trailing.
Why is it? Let's just talk about Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Let's not talk about everybody else.
But here's my issue. So now Cam Newton says a game manager is a guy who can't win. If you will. Thank you. A game manager is a guy who can't put the team on his back. Now he does put the team on his back. Now you come back and you reclassify your definition. No, a game manager has to be the best player on offense on his team. Why you keep drawing new circles to make sure Brock Purdy don't exist in the circle that you drew? You said he got to put the team on his back. He put the team on his back. Now you're saying he got to be the best player on offense. What's the criteria going to be?
I don't think again, I'm not going to speak for Cam. Cam has a show, in a microphone, he can speak for himself. I think he just doesn't believe in Brock Purdy. It's like, just frankly speaking, he just doesn't believe in him. I think, because I defend Eli all the time when people are like, Eli's not a Hall of Famer. Eli's a Hall of Famer. He beat Tom Brady, the greatest to ever do it, in 2 Super Bowls and was Super Bowl MVP twice. And no one would say that he was better than Tom Brady at those moments. So the argument of talent or game managers, why I said I don't care about being called a game manager. Sometimes that's all you need because the team is that good. Don't mess it up. A lot of games are lost, or more games lost than they're won all the time. So it's not a knock on Brock Purdy. It just sounds like it. And the reason that everybody is like, it's hate, I feel being pitched and no one feels comfortable paying him the most is because he is what he is. Just let him be that. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.